Dr. Helena Cartwright had spent 15 years pursuing the holy grail of immunology, a universal vaccine capable of neutralizing any virus, present or future. It was the kind of ambition that won awards, funding, and admiration. At Eastwood Medical Institute in Boston, Helena was a star. Backed by both government and private sectors, she stood on the cusp of history. The experimental vaccine, dubbed Virex-7, had reached phase 3 trials. Hundreds of volunteers had already received injections, and the results were coming in at near miraculous levels. 97% efficacy, almost no adverse effects. It was too perfect. Helena was used to irregularities, to obstacles, to data that misbehaved. But this was almost polished, sanitized. She buried the unease, convincing herself that perhaps for once, science had gotten lucky. Until she saw the name Mark Caldwell on the trial list. A healthy 32-year-old software engineer. No pre-existing conditions. But his file noted dizziness, followed by debilitating headaches, then silence. She raised it casually during a meeting with Dr. Alan Pierce, the lead trial coordinator, and someone Helena had once admired. Mark Caldwell, she asked, keeping her tone light. What happened with him? Pierce didn't even look up from his laptop. Dropped out. Some people can't handle the pressure. Trial anxiety. But it didn't sit right. Especially not 2 weeks later when Helena saw the obituary. Mark Caldwell, 32, died of sudden cardiac arrest in his apartment. The official cause? Unknown cardiac complications. Helena's chest tightened. She remembered the data. No red flags, no cardiac history. But hadn't there been a spike in white blood cell counts? Something dismissed in the notes as minor inflammation. She wanted to speak up, to dig deeper. But Virex-7 was already gaining traction. The FDA was watching. Investors were ready to pour in billions, and she'd spent her life building this platform. Still, she couldn't let it go. Meanwhile, Mark's sister, Lisa Caldwell, was in mourning and suspicion. Mark had always been healthy, a marathon runner, a clean eater, the annoying sibling who counted sodium content. Lisa, a seasoned investigative journalist, had covered corruption before, but this felt different. This was personal. On Mark's laptop, she found a draft email titled, "Something's Wrong with Virex-7." In it, Mark wrote, "I think they're hiding something. Some volunteers on the forum have been posting about weird symptoms, like heart palpitations, chest pain. I thought it was just me, but I'm not so sure anymore. I asked Dr. Pierce. He said it was anxiety, but this isn't in my head. My heart won't stop racing." Lisa blinked. Forum? She dug deeper and found a private Reddit-style board for Virex-7 trial participants. Mark had joined it under a pseudonym. Post after post revealed a hidden side of the trial. Volunteers complaining of fatigue, arrhythmias, insomnia, but getting no answers. That was enough to file a wrongful death lawsuit against Eastwood Medical Institute. The court initially denied her full access to trial documents. But then a sympathetic judge, Judge Renee Malik, who'd lost a nephew to a failed clinical trial years ago, read Mark's email and reluctantly granted limited access. Even then, what Lisa received was frustrating. Redacted PDFs, blacked out lab reports, clinical jargon, and blanket statements like, "No significant concerns." But someone had made a mistake. On page 67, a handwritten note in the margin read, "Caldwell, heart arrhythmia. High risk." That one scribble shattered the narrative. Lisa turned to her college friend Dax, a reformed hacker turned cybersecurity expert. It was risky, but Dax still owed her for covering up his freshman-year Bitcoin mining operation in the journalism lab. "Can you find out if they've been scrubbing trial data?" Lisa asked. Within hours, Dax had access to Eastwood's research server. "Encrypted," he said, "but not well." He found logs, records that didn't match the redacted versions she'd been given. Helena, meanwhile, began her own quiet review. At first, she wanted to disprove her doubts. But the more she looked, the more cracks she found. Placebos logged as treatments, adverse reactions minimized, test groups merged with controls. It wasn't just oversight, it was orchestration. She confronted Pierce in his office. "This is data tampering," she said, throwing the printouts on his desk. Pierce looked up calmly. "You want to go down with this? You've got your name on that research, too. Don't forget who put you on the map." Helena hesitated. Was he right? Had she been so hungry for a breakthrough that she'd stopped asking questions? That night, she couldn't sleep. She stared at the photos of trial volunteers. One face haunted her, Mark Caldwell's. She'd seen his chart, she'd dismissed it, but not anymore. Lisa's case caught the attention of Dr. Noah Sinclair, a junior researcher at Eastwood. For months, he had documented discrepancies, hoping someone else would speak up first. But now, Lisa's name was all over the news. She was getting closer. Maybe close enough. They met in a dim corner booth at a pub near Fenway. "I've been compiling evidence for months," Noah whispered, sliding her a flash drive. "I wanted to do something. I just couldn't, until now." Lisa's eyes welled up. "Why now?" "Because if you're risking everything, I can't keep hiding." The flash drive was damning. Email chains, falsified trial data, internal memos, and a timeline showing that Wanacor Labs, a private biotech firm, had injected $50 million into Eastwood 3 months before the trial started. Helena had seen the name Wanacor on funding reports, but hadn't known the CEO was Alan Pierce. The conflict of interest was staggering. One internal email, dated 2 weeks before Mark's death, read, "We can't afford delays. Any cardiac anomalies must be reclassified as anxiety-related. FDA must see a clean sheet." Another said, "Monitor Lisa Caldwell. If she starts digging, we respond fast." Then came the threats. Lisa's apartment was broken into, drawers overturned, laptop missing. Then the call, a masked voice warning her to drop the case. She didn't. Instead, she and Dax encrypted the flash drive and sent it to every major news outlet. CNN broke the story first. Then the New York Times, then 60 Minutes requested an interview. Public outrage exploded. Protesters gathered outside Eastwood. The FDA launched a full investigation. Investors pulled out. Helena, moved by guilt and emboldened by Lisa's bravery, stepped forward. "I ignored the signs," she told the press. "I wanted it to be real. But that doesn't excuse what I let happen. I'm cooperating fully with authorities." Her testimony carried weight. She had led the project. Her admission cracked the case wide open. But the legal fight wasn't over. Wanacor's lawyers pushed back. They questioned Noah's credibility, claimed Lisa had violated privacy laws. They accused Helena of career bitterness. Lisa's case teetered until the courts received one more surprise. An anonymous leak, 20,000 internal Wanacor documents uploaded to a secure FTP, time-stamped, verifiable, unmistakable. The source? Likely Noah, though he never confirmed it. The final hearing was electric. Helena took the stand, voice trembling. "I didn't know," she said. "But I should have. My ambition blinded me. I wanted a miracle. I helped sell a lie." Pierce was arrested minutes after the verdict. Fraud, obstruction, conspiracy, negligent manslaughter. Wanacor's board resigned en masse. The company was dissolved under federal order. But it didn't end there. The public wanted blood. The victims' families demanded reforms. Protesters marched on Capitol Hill demanding stricter clinical trial oversight. The FDA rolled out emergency policy changes within weeks. Lisa sat in the back of the courtroom when the verdict came down. Her face was pale but proud. Reporters rushed to her on the steps. "What's next?" they asked. She paused. "I think the world deserves to know how this happened, how close we came to letting power and profit win." She stared out at the reporters. "So I'm going to write a book." Helena resigned from Eastwood. She now teaches bioethics at a small liberal arts college. Noah joined a nonprofit watchdog group for clinical research integrity. Judge Malik received a standing ovation at a medical ethics summit. And Lisa? Her book, The Price of a Cure, became popular nationwide. In a world hungry for breakthroughs, they had almost sold their souls for one. But in the end, the truth won.